So this is a Ravensburger 1,000 piece Christmas special, which I'm doing on my kitchen counter, which is not an ideal surface for puzzling. You can see a couple things. You can see shadows, and you can also see the glare from the overhead lighting. I use the kitchen counter though sometimes because it's a lot easier on my back, and because sometimes other people need the dining room table for things like eating and not just puzzling. So what I'm trying to do here is flip as many pieces as I can. I'm not doing a great job. You can still see a lot of the backs of the pieces sticking up. And then pulling the border. I tend to like to do borders first on 1,000 pieces just to give me a sense of how big the puzzle is and how I need to work with it given the space that I have. So continuing here, pulling the border pieces and assembling them where I find them. I tend to not love a lot of the holiday puzzle specials because they tend to have more muted colors, especially the Ravensburgers. They're often like oil painting pictures, or they've got lots of pastels, they've got lots of whites and navy blues, and so they tend to be harder to actually see good spots to pull and assemble. So I am definitely a Grinch. I hate holiday puzzles. I hate Halloween puzzles. I hate themed puzzles, really. Give me a landscape. Um, but as you can see here, I've managed to pull most of the border now and I'm starting to slowly assemble. The challenge that I'm having here is a little bit of space management. My kitchen counter is pretty wide and I actually can't reach across all the way without walking around the counter, which means that I'm not really spreading out the pieces the way I would on my table. My table's also a little small for 1,000 pieces, so this is sort of a consistent problem. Um, the other thing is that the glare is making it really hard for me to see the difference in the dark pieces and the lighter pieces. And so I've moved on now from the border where I'm getting a little stuck to try to build some of the white parts underneath. So that's like chunks of snow. In this scene, everybody's walking on snow, so there's like lots and lots of white to build. Um, and so I've spotted a house over to the right, so went ahead and built that. My strategy was a little bit just kind of as I saw chunks, build them. Um, Again, probably not the greatest 1,000 piece strategy, but mine is always like just reduce the number of pieces on the table. And here we go, starting to get that border finalized and built out. And so now I can start to figure out, okay, well, here are some of the things that are going to go in the middle and where am I going to put them? So I'm grabbing a lot of the snow type pieces now to try to build them in the center. One of the things that I thought I could do was in the image, there are a bunch of people walking on the snow. And I was like, oh, I can build all the people. That didn't work because a lot of the people are wearing the same colored clothes. And so when you actually start to build the people, you realize I can't see any difference between all of these people. So that was a little bit of a bummer. Thought that was going to be much more efficient. I have come back to this puzzle now. You can see the lighting has dramatically improved. And I have coffee. So continuing to actually build the light colored chunks. Strategically, I'm not clear this was the best move. The problem with light colored chunks is that in this puzzle there are like 8 of them. And also, I tend to struggle to see the patterns more on the lighter colored pieces and the darker colored pieces. At least when I'm working with natural light, I find it often flips when I'm working with like glare or lots of artificial lighting. But I'm trying now to build the roofs of some of the houses in this Christmas village on the hope that that will also help me structure the puzzle a little bit more and help me see more blocks that I can build. One of the things I'm not good at is actually seeing from the picture, oh, this will be a really distinctive block, and I should try to build that first. I sometimes end up making the strategic mistake of being like, I'm just going to build the sky first because I know there's a sky. And that doesn't work well, generally. And so when I can, I like to actually get structure in the puzzle, meaning like I like to have the border and some large chunks put together so I can see, oh, in between these two chunks, I'm looking for this pattern or this color or this gradient. And that helps me move faster because then I'm better at pulling those pieces and building them. But so you can tell I'm not really speed puzzling very well here because I am leaning on one arm and just using one hand. So continuing here to get a little bit more of the structure built out, some of the roofs of those houses are actually coming together now very slowly. Um, and now I'm starting to have to move on to some of the darker colored pieces. So I've given up trying to build the bottom, which was that snow at the bottom. I'm trying to build the Christmas tree now, but it's covered in tinsel, and so it's not actually very easy to see. And so I keep jumping from bit to bit because no bit is really moving quickly. Again, probably should have picked one, stuck with it, done it, but I didn't. I work as a puzzle curator for my local library, which is the greatest volunteer job ever. Um, but one of the things I've noticed is we get a lot of Christmas puzzles in around Christmas. And so I often take them home and do them to make sure that all the pieces are there because obviously we sell the puzzles for, definitely not thrift shop prices, above thrift shop prices. And part of that is that we make sure the boxes are in great shape. And for a lot of the puzzles, especially the more expensive ones, I actually take them home and do them to make sure all the pieces are there. And if the pieces aren't there, we put it on like half off or 2/3 off for people who are not as picky about pieces. But it means that during the Christmas season, I end up doing a lot of Christmas puzzles because that's what's coming into the library and that's what I'm generally checking. Um, so I have come back to this puzzle after a brief break, as you can see. And now I'm working again with the glare and the overhead lighting. So going to have to deal with trying to pick up colors in those dark pieces at the top with a little bit more glare. And now I'm just kind of filling in the lighter colored pieces, the browns and yellows, to just fill in the houses and where the people are walking. Filling in those pieces, which I'm doing right now, just is also going to cut down the number of total pieces I have on the counter, and make it hopefully a little bit easier to see the pieces I need to work with. It's a little hard to see because the counter's big enough. I'm actually keeping a lot of pieces on the top of the puzzle. Something that I'm trying to train myself not to do with 500 pieces, but for me becomes a necessary evil with 1,000 pieces because I just don't have the space generally. So you can see I've pulled a bunch of the dark colored pieces onto the top of the puzzle, and I'm now trying to see where they fit. Given the lighting and given how slowly I'm going, this would have been a good time to shape sort, I think, and just say, it is what it is. I'm going to try to fit the darkest colored pieces in that upper right-hand corner right away. I can build this moon that has a little bit of a pattern to it, but otherwise it's time to shape sort. And you're saying I'm starting to like casually shape sort on the left-hand side. So as I test a piece and it doesn't work, I'm putting it back in more of a shape sorted pile, but still not exactly as precise as I should be. So now this is just test and toss. And a visitor. She was really into this puzzle. Short break to, well, try to remove the cat from the puzzling space unsuccessfully. There we are.